Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this non-Thursday transformation Q&A Thursday. And before we begin, let's invoke. Beware of your heart, beware of your crown, beware of your heart and your crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuksui, Lord Mahaguru Jmeling, the Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Saraswati, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of awareness, understanding, and inner transformation, to our divine selves, our higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your divine help, guidance, and protection during today's Q&A. We ask for practical understanding to improve the quality of our lives, and to become greater instruments of goodwill and the will to do good. We thank you, thank you, thank you. With gratitude, respect, and love, so be it, and so it is. Thank you. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Again, we're kind of doing several of these Transformation Thursday, Q&A Thursdays earlier than usual, because this body is going to be traveling for the month of May, going to 12 different cities, over 12 cities, over, oh, there she is. I see you. Let me flip this a little bit. Hold on, everybody. There we go. Perfect. So we're going to be traveling for the month of May, going to 12 different cities, doing about 3,600 miles. And it's going to be fun. So we're going to do live streaming every single day, most likely going to be kind of either on the road or in a different city. And the reason we're doing this 3,600 mile trip is I got to get out. I got to mix it up with people. Okay. Because I've been in isolation here for about 7 months in Kalispell, Montana, 45 minutes south of the Canadian border. And then also I'm looking for the next place to hang my hat. So where I'm going to be driving through the Pacific Northwest are cities I've never been to. I've been all over the country, but these particular cities I've not been to, and I want to see if they would be suitable for me long term. So basically, for the next 6 months, I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to do an Airbnb for a month or two, and then an Airbnb for a month or two, and then this is going to be a travel trip, road trip, getting out there in nature and mixing it up, doing a little camping here and there. So looking forward to it. So we have our first question. Oh, by the way, you see Intelligentsia, which is a coffee brand that I was first exposed to in Denver, Colorado. They're pretty good coffee. And Grandmaster Choa Kuksui was talking about the size of the chakras, And he says 2 inches to 4 inches represents this kind of person. And then going on. And then he says the intelligentsia have some of the bigger chakras, and then a superior person. And he doesn't mean superior like value or worth-wise, but he means superior in one's computing power, as it were. The intelligentsia, then you have a superior person, and then you have a, I think it was a holy master, a highly developed being, where the chakras are meters wide. So an average person has a chakra that's about 2 inches in diameter. It's about that big, teeny tiny. But as you continue to grow and evolve, the chakras become bigger and bigger and bigger. And interestingly enough, the lower chakras thousands of years ago were much, much bigger and more developed. So men like Genghis Khan or men like Alexander the Great, who basically conquered the known world at their time in history, they had giant basic chakras. They had a lot of physical strength, a lot of physical stamina, and they could keep going and going and going and going and going and going. Because think about it, they were taking over entire countries on horseback. They weren't taking over countries in tanks or pushing a button and getting a satellite image and then dropping a missile, right? It's quite amazing what these souls were able to do. So thousands of years ago, the basic chakra of mankind, the lower chakras of mankind were much, much bigger. But the mental faculties were not so developed. I remember asking Master Choa in a Chinese restaurant many, many years ago about the founding fathers of the United States. I said, Master, were the founding fathers adepts or highly developed people? He said, yes, they were adepts. They were yogis, but they don't call them yogis. A yogi is someone who consciously practices oneness with the higher self. So on to our first question. Dun, 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 dun. What does transformation mean? What does transformation mean? And if you don't know the answer to this, I'm just signing out right now. Can't handle it. So transformation is the foundation of what I've built my healing practice on, my livelihood, my vocation, and my purpose in this lifetime. Transformation from the pranic healing viewpoint means your higher soul has you as the little soul has a strong connection to your higher soul, and the higher soul regulates and controls the lower chakras. That's what transformation means. So someone who has gone through deep inner transformation is a person who has a strong connection to their higher soul and who has purified themselves and has a high degree of mastery of their lower nature. Mastery of their physical body, mastery of their emotions, and mastery over their thoughts. A person who has not transformed is all over the place. They live a life of chaos. They live a life of drama. They live a life of vice. So the purpose of the Inner Transformation membership, which you are all part of, is to help you transform as a soul every single month. Not once a year at a retreat, not once every couple of years when you have time away from the family or kids or obligations or work responsibilities, when you can go and do a 10-day Vipassana retreat. No, it's something you need to focus on at a minimum monthly, preferably around the full moon so you get the most bang for your spiritual buck. But ideally, you want to become a better person, do character building, do purification, do meditation practices every single day. One of the masters in pranic healing said at a retreat, now granted, this was at a retreat where there are more advanced practitioners, there are people that they're listening is a little bit different than ordinary people. I get it. He says, your number one priority in life is soul realization. That's it. Now, if he said that to the general public, what is he going to get? Some pushback. You're saying my family's not my number one priority? I don't believe it. You're saying making money is not my number one priority? I don't believe it. But for the yogi who is on the path, yes, soul realization is the number one priority above and beyond anything. So again, what does transformation mean? It means we have a strong connection to the higher soul through purification practices and meditation practices, and that soul influences and controls the lower bodies, the lower vehicles, the lower chakras. And I've dedicated 21 years of my life to it, and I've only gone deeper into that. That's the interesting thing about healing, meditation work, and spirituality is it's infinite. So the only reason somebody would quote unquote get bored is because A, they never had deep experiences to begin with, or B, negative pride is sneaking in. Whenever we get off the path, it's because of negative pride. Lack of humility. Either I'm above this, so I'm not going to do it anymore, or I'm below everyone else and everything else. I'm no good. I'm not entitled to be good enough to do this work. So negative pride is on both sides of the pendulum. So the goal is to be in the middle, the path of moderation and non-excessiveness, the path of the Tao, the path of these quote unquote razor's edge. And it's called the razor's edge as you evolve. It's only a razor's edge when you're evolving, when you're advanced in your practices. The beginning path of a neophyte, a new person, the path is wide. The path is huge. They can veer off, right? Without killing themselves, right? But once you are on the path, and dedicated to the path and working on the path, it becomes a razor's edge. There's less room for error. Okay. Number 2, is there a difference between using a green fire or a violet fire to burn up negative energy? I've heard of both being used. Excellent. Okay. It depends on what your purpose is. So we have basic pranic healing, which uses white energy. We have advanced pranic healing, which uses colored energies. And we have pranic psychotherapy, which uses electric violet light. Electric violet light is soul energy, energy with consciousness, meaning when it's projected into someone or something, it has a level of consciousness to influence the soul of the person. Not always the energy body, but the soul. Those are two different things, right? So when we're doing a healing session, it is recommended 99.9% of the time to have a saltwater basin off to the side. So you take the congestion off of someone, and instead of throwing it on the floor, which is energetically contaminating your space, you throw it into the salt water so it gets contained. The water attracts the energy. The salt in the water breaks up the energy, making it less harmful to you energetically, and then you dump it in the toilet when you're done with the healing. Now, let's say you don't have a salt bowl. What do? Not do the healing? No. You can do the healing inside and throw the congested energy outside the window. You can do it that way. You can do the healing outside and throw the energy outside, either into the ground, into a water base, like a river, a creek, a lake, an ocean, or you can throw it into the sky. But if you want to do it another way, when you're inside doing a healing, there's no windows to throw anything out of, then you can create a green flame or a violet flame. Now, again, this isn't a pranic healing class, and I recommend anyone who wants to know more information, who has not taken pranic healing, take pranic healing 1, 2, and 3, and you'll have your answers. But a green flame is etheric, for etheric energy, denser energies. Green energy is the Clorox bleach of the energy world. It breaks up, right? Violet energy has the properties of all the other pranas. So a violet flame, and depends, because you can go even higher to an electric violet flame, has transmutive qualities. So it doesn't only break down the energy, but it changes it. What does transmutation mean? It means taking something from dense matter, heavy, to subtle and refined. That's what alchemy is. Alchemy is what? Lead, base metals into gold. The problem throughout history was that it was taken literally. So people were trying to find the ability to convert lead into gold so they could be super, super wealthy. It was an inner teaching that was not revealed publicly. So if you're doing a healing on someone who's physically sick, just use a green flame. And keep in mind, you have to have clear intention and you have to have a strong energy body to make that green flame stay for a whole healing. In general, if your healing is longer than 15 minutes, get a salt bowl. If your healing is longer than 15 minutes, get a salt bowl. Now, if you're working with someone with psychotherapy, you're removing negative thoughts, negative entities, negative elementals, negative emotion from a person. You need to do what? Transmute those energies. So you would use a violet or electric violet flame. Good question. You guys are definitely knocking out of the park these 2 sessions. Next question. What if your partner doesn't share your enthusiasm for the spiritual path? Well, get rid of them. Easy. Just replace them. Why are we making this more complicated than it needs to be? No, I'm kidding. So there's a tendency for 2 people to come together. And then for those 2 people that don't know each other very well, that they don't know each other's values, the person doesn't know his or her own values, and they don't know the values of their partner, but they see something that they should get together, it's maybe not the best of matches. And then as people's values typically don't change, they typically stay the same, but the values start to be expressed in the relationship over a period of time. And if people are practicing awareness, they go, wait a minute, our values don't match. But I've noticed many couples, one person will be hardcore into the spiritual path, into meditation, into healing, into going to retreats, seminars, workshops, books, podcasts, all kinds of things, buying shawls, buying crystals, buying all these different things, right? And then their partner goes, what is wrong with this person? This isn't the person that I married. This isn't the person that I started dating. They're off the reservation. What starts to happen, keep in mind, this is if the person is practicing. This is a key point that people kind of forget. You have two people, they meet each other. Neither one of them are doing spiritual things. And then one person says, you know what? I'm interested in meditation. And they start practicing for a couple weeks, a couple months, a year or two. What starts happening is that person's vibration starts to change. So the person that you once met, who you vibrate on the same level with, now that person is through will, right? The will to transform, which is what? Strengthening your connection to the higher self, controlling and regulating the lower nature. The gap is now there. So there's a difference. So two things need to happen for this to work. One, the person who is lower, denser vibration needs to have humility because they start seeing their partner progressing. They're like, wow, so-and-so seems more loving or more this or more that. It's like, huh. So they have to practice humility. And then the person who is vibrating higher needs to start practicing what? Compassion, patience, mercy, understanding. Why? Because as the gap widens and widens and widens in vibration, the person who is vibrating at that level starts to see their partner speaking slower, talking about lower, denser vibrational things. They're not seeing the obvious things. They're not seeing big picture. They're not getting it because as you refine yourself, your mind works faster, your emotions are faster, and your physical body even changes. So the person that's quote unquote more refined, right, is that they have to develop compassion, patience, tolerance, and understanding for their partner. Most spiritualizing people don't do that with their partner. They go, why aren't you meditating? It's so amazing to me, because they lack character building. They're becoming impatient. They're becoming intolerant. And then that impatience and intolerance goes back to their partner. And then their partner does what? Man, ever since you started doing this meditation stuff, you've become an a-hole, a B, a this, a that, right? But that person's changing their vibration, and through the changing of the vibration, there's purging going on. And then that comes out as negative seeds, right? Or the weeds within the energy body. So that's why it's recommended that if one person is meditating, doing healing work, doing spiritual work, doing retreats, that they have to get their partner healed, because it's helping keep the vibration similar between both people. So one of the greatest recommendations from one of the masters was you have to A, heal your partner regularly, and regularly can mean daily, at least weekly. Heal your partner regularly. Bless your partner daily. And be a good example. That's it. You can't get them on the path. You can't trick them on the path. You can't persuade them to start meditating and getting healing and taking healing courses and reading healing books and meditation books and going to retreats. Not worth it. Heal them regularly, bless them daily, and be a good example. And in almost 100% of the cases, the person will come around. But have no expectation. So that's a whole, that could be 5 different videos right there about partners on the path. But again, what if your partner doesn't share your enthusiasm for the spiritual path? It's okay. Enthusiasm, the derivative is enthos, God within. So when someone is enthusiastic about something, it is God pouring through them. But it's okay. They don't have to be, they don't have to be on your time frame. That's why you have to have what? Compassion, mercy, patience, tolerance, understanding. Because you're going to be tested, because that gap is going to continue to widen. What most people do is they don't do the healing, they don't do the blessing, and they don't be a good example. The gap continues to widen and widen and widen, and then there's separation. Marriage is over. The relationship is over because of that. The gap is too big, and there's too much conflict. Which actually, it's funny, we talked about that years and years ago about social media. I remember, because I always watch my social media stats because it's part of my business. It's not because I'm vain or I need to be, whatever, applauded for stuff. It's part of my business. It's part of my work. And I remember I would watch these numbers on Facebook of how many people were following me. And the numbers never really changed more than 5 at a time. I'd lose 5, I'd gain 5, I'd lose 2, I'd gain 4. It never really changed much more than 5 in any given day or week. Then I went off to Fairfield, Iowa, and I did 2 months of deep, intensive inner work because I wanted to transform several areas of my life as quickly as possible. And I said, what better way to do it than going into isolation for 2 months and then just healing clients intermittently throughout the day, but I'll do deep inner work the rest of it, 10 hours a day. Well, I did that. And as I kept purifying, changing my vibration, by the end of that 2-month period, I lost over 250 people that were following me on social media. And I go, that doesn't make any sense. Why would it be worse? Why would it be less? And my mentor was explaining to me the gap in vibration, meaning when my vibration was lower, more people could relate to me, right? Similar energies attract similar energies. But as my vibration changed, the lower portion of those people who are at the lower tier of the vibration dropped away. They couldn't feel me anymore. They couldn't experience me anymore. Doesn't mean I'm better. Doesn't mean I'm more advanced. It doesn't mean any of those things. It means the vibration between me and them changed so much. They're like, not interested. Okay. Okay. What is the cause of suffering? What is the cause of suffering? This alone is worth price of admission. What is the cause of suffering? It is wrong viewpoint. That's it. I had a client earlier today who was, she'd been suffering with some career stuff. And we do healing, and then the next week, everything is fine. And then something else comes up, and then we do healing around that, and then that's fine. But there's this theme that's been coming up in her career path. And it was very interesting. I said, aha, it's viewpoint. So we did some digging, we did some understanding during the 30 minutes of the coaching. And she came to realize this was her viewpoint, and that viewpoint was causing her suffering. And then she changed her viewpoint, and her suffering was alleviated. And at the end of it, I said to her, I go, how do you feel right now? She goes, I feel great. I said, well, what else? I feel lighter. I feel clearer. I feel more confident. I feel more uplifted. I said, what changed externally? She says, nothing. I said, aha, what changed internally? She goes, my viewpoint. Exactly. So if you are suffering with your health, it's your viewpoint. If you're suffering with your emotions, it's your viewpoint. If you're suffering in your relationships, it's your viewpoint. If you're suffering on your spiritual practice and path, it's your viewpoint. It's your viewpoint, period. because everything comes from your viewpoint. What's the most important viewpoint of all viewpoints? I am that I am. Number one. And you go, come on, Christian, really? That's it? I am that I am? Well, obviously, there's more to it than that. You have to have an experience of the I am. But we have to start with the no, like, oh, okay, I am that I am. I'm the soul. I'm not my body, not my emotions, I'm not my thoughts. So then you start making those very subtle distinctions. But at the end of the day, I am that I am. I am the soul. That's the most important viewpoint a human being can have. And then from that viewpoint, then you have right thoughts, then you have right speech, then you have right action, right livelihood, right spiritual practice, right oneness, right? But if you don't know who and what you are, your thoughts will be wrong, your speech will be wrong, your actions will be wrong, your career path will be wrong. So for instance, this is not a judgment against these people, but people that own liquor stores and own casinos, that's wrong livelihood. Which means they have what? Reverse engineer it, wrong viewpoint. If your viewpoint is right, your thoughts will be right. Now, here's the thing. As it goes through the Eightfold Path, because this is what we're referring to, the Eightfold Path of Buddhism, the first part is right viewpoint, accurate perception of who and what you are. The other 2 through 8 is correct expression. Now, as you are expressing things, it's getting tweaked, distorted, broken down. So you might have right viewpoint, I am that I am, I'm the soul. And then you have thoughts, and only a portion of the I am the soul energy comes into your mental body. Why only a portion? Because we have negative pride, because we have limiting beliefs, because we have blind spots, we have calcified ideas, we have our environment that influences our viewpoints, we have egregors, collective group thought forms that influence our viewpoint or influence our thinking. So it's getting distorted. Very, very important to be aware of. That's why in one of Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui's classes and books, Psychic Self-Defense for Home and Office, he teaches techniques to shield your mental and emotional bodies from outside influences. The reason people have a hard time thinking clearly is because their mental body is merging with the thoughts and emotions of their environment. What do you think marketing is? What do you think mass media is? It's trying to change and distort your viewpoint. Why is it that everyone is seeking vanity, seeking attention and validation on social media, seeking millions of dollars? Because they are swimming in a collective thought form telling them that's what they should be seeking. But if you have a shielded mental body, you have a shielded emotional body, and you know who and what you are, the energy from the higher soul can go through the bodies and not get so distorted. I hope that made sense. So that's the cause of suffering. Wrong viewpoint, wrong viewpoint, wrong viewpoint. Change your viewpoint, you change your suffering. You can also increase your suffering by changing your viewpoint, which would be what? Wrong viewpoint, right? So you want to go for right viewpoint. And right viewpoint, you go, well, Christian, what's the right viewpoint then? What's the right thing to do in this situation? A, I am that I am. B, character building. So you have the I am that I am. I'm light, I'm love, I'm power. From light, love, and power, you have the character building, right? The 5 virtues. That's how you know, aha, I'm in alignment with the soul. But if you go, well, one of the virtues is generosity and non-stealing. So I'm thinking of stealing from somebody. What do you think? Good idea, bad idea? Bad idea. You're out of alignment with the soul energy. You're out of alignment with who and what you are. But if you realize I am that I am, and I'm a being of love, and one of the aspects of love is generosity and non-stealing, rather than stealing from somebody, I'm going to A, not steal from them, and B, give them something. Aha, I'm now in alignment with the virtues. And your life the suffering in your life will go so far down, it'll blow your mind. But then you go, well, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm practicing the virtues all the time, and there's still suffering that happens in my life. Well, number one, I would question that. I would practice discernment and go, is that accurate that you're practicing all the virtues 100% of the time? Probably not. Number two, because if you were that, then you would be an embodiment of a holy master, and you wouldn't even have said that. It wouldn't even come out of your mouth. Would be one indicator. So just to be clear with that, if somebody said, I'm practicing the virtues all the time and there's still suffering in my life, that the level of self-delusion and lack of self-honesty, which is actually against one of the virtues of accurate perception and correct expression. So there's that. The other thing is, you don't know what your previous karma is. So granted, you might in this moment and every moment therefore practice the virtues 100%, but you also planted seeds, previous lifetimes and previous years in your life that weren't so good. But for anybody, any ordinary human being to say, I practice the virtues 100% of the time and there's still suffering in my life, that's delusional. That's not accurate. And if somebody wants to argue with that, politely walk away and don't entangle yourself emotionally. Next question. Can your chakras and meridians get hurt or damaged the way our physical body does, or do they just get congested, depleted, and can they be cleansed and energized as needed with nothing to worry about? Yes, they can deteriorate. So you have physical capillaries and arteries, right? Blood goes through, oxygen goes through, nutrients goes through. So our meridians, our nadis are the same. So they can break down, and yes, they can be healed. Yes, they can be healed. And again, it depends on what the person needs, how severe it is. So you can do a physical protocol, like advanced pranic healing protocol for the energetic capillaries, meridians, nadis. Or maybe they need psychological, because how do I put this? If you experience tremendous anger, like unbelievable anger, rage, blood boiling, all you see is red, you can't even think and nothing is clear, you can rupture webbing in your front solar plexus, webbing in your back solar plexus, and webbing in your main chakra. And then you can also partially tear some of the nadis because you demonstrate so much will, lower emotional will, that it rips the astral body. And then guess what happens? When you tear open the astral body, like energy does what? Attracts like energy. So if you have rage, the energy of rage, the energy of maliciousness through your astral body, and it's ripped open, guess what it's going to attract in the inner world? Those same energies. Same with addiction. Same with addiction. So that's why when someone has an addiction, they need to be healed of it, and then they need to be sealed. Just like ICU, right? You have an operation, they cut you open. They don't just cut you open and say, have fun, we'll see you in a month after the gangrene, right? They cut you open, then they wrap you, sterilize you, and put you in the ICU, intensive care unit, to monitor you. We do the same thing with psychological issues and emotional issues. Somebody has an addiction, somebody has a rage, somebody has depression. We have to go deep into the energy body, clean all that stuff out, then provide new, fresh energy. And then we have to shield that person from any surrounding energies in their aura that might be there, or their environment, right? For instance, if you go into the kitchen and you have a huge argument with someone in the kitchen, that energy, the kitchen is now impregnated with that energy. So other people will come into the kitchen shortly after the argument, and it will hit their aura and they'll feel aggressive. They'll feel angry. They'll feel agitated and not quite know why. And then guess what? If the person has little teeny weeny baby seeds of anger and aggression within them, and they're now in an aggressive environment, those energies merge with one another, and now they start compounding. Remember, I tell this to my clients, those who hurt others. Most people don't start lashing out at people for no reason. It's people have been hurt for years and then they start lashing out. Next question. Does social media harm our spiritual development? It depends. If you go onto social media to get validation, it harms your spiritual development. If you go onto social media to gossip about other people, it hurts your spiritual development. If you go onto social media to judge and criticize other people, it hurts your spiritual development. But if you go onto social media to share uplifting quotes, uplifting stories, uplifting meditations, healing practices, books of value, you're generating good karma. So it depends. Remember, social media is a tool, and a tool magnifies and amplifies the effort of the individual. So if the individual has not so good intentions, then those will be magnified. If they have good intentions, it will be magnified. The challenge with social media is because mankind in general is not that developed. So there's a tendency to negative news travels faster because that's the vibration of the majority of the world, right? I made a meme about this years and years and years ago about cat video, 81 million views. Cute girl on Instagram, 10 million views. How to have inner peace, 17 views, right? Because the vibration is too high for most people, so they can't relate to it. They can't connect to it. That's why the Dalai Lama, who's a great teacher, he teaches about compassion because it's general, meaning the general populace can go, oh yeah, compassion, like taking on the suffering of another person. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay. They get it. But when you start talking about esoteric things, that which is hidden, and they're very subtle and very refined, people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, right over their head. So people can relate to money, people can relate to sex, people can relate to power, people can relate to vanity because it's lower energies or glamour, right? So it depends. Social media can either be very good for your life or very bad for your life. You have to have the awareness. What am I doing on social media? What am I doing on social media? Right? Also, this is a side note. I don't share this with too many parents because they would not be happy if they knew this. But when you whip out a phone or any kind of digital device, an iPad, an iPhone, Android, even your laptop, but typically we don't have laptops so close to us. When you give it to a child's Arhatic chakra is being formed. It's being developed. It doesn't really develop fully until around 7 or 8 years old. So when a child is on one of these things, their Arhatic chakra is energetically linked into the item, and then this item is pulling energy from their ajna. The Arhatic chakra is called the master chakra because it controls and regulates the pranas below it. But if you have a child that's plugging their ajna into a device, the device is siphoning energy from them, weakening their ajna. That's why electronic devices can be addictive, because you're merging your consciousness with the device. Interesting. And funny enough, most of the creators of these devices and social media don't allow their children to be on it because they intuitively know. They don't know the energetic cord and the ajna and all that stuff, but they intuitively know not to let their children be influenced by it. All right, next question. Do you need to sit in the lotus position to meditate properly? It depends. This is a good question that was covered by one of the masters years ago. So when you sit in full lotus or half lotus, you're forcing prana to go up. You're forcing prana to go up. So when you want to have high level spiritual experiences, you want the lower chakras to be smaller than the upper chakras. And in general, during certain transmutive techniques, you pull energy from the basic, the sex, the navel, and you feed the heart, the throat, the brain, the crown, and you have expansion. So when you put your legs in full lotus, you're forcing prana to go up so you can leave your body. Now, if you're doing a meditation where you want to be more grounded and you want to be even, that's the key word, you sit in a chair with your legs normally flat on the ground, which actually, in most cases, I would recommend people sit like that because energy doesn't get congested and pooling because there's a tendency for energy to pool. So if you're doing a meditation where you're releasing energy, maybe not so good sitting in lotus because lotus is pooling and pushing up energy. But if you're doing a meditation where you're trying to be a channel of goodwill and the will to do good, it's best to have your body open and your legs open and flat on the floor. Because then the prana can do what? Flow right through you and flow through the soles of your feet. So I recommend, in most cases, meditate sitting in a chair, spine erect, not leaning against the chair, feet flat on the floor. In most cases, if you want to have higher spiritual experiences where it's not a practice where you're releasing energy or being a conduit for energy, then yes, you can sit in full lotus or half lotus. There's a lot more to talk about that one. How does the lotus position fit into the don't cross arms and legs during meditation and healing? Correct. So don't cross arms closes the upper aura. So when you cross your arms, you close the upper aura, right? You're not receptive. When you cross your legs, it means crossing the knees, which closes the lower aura. So when you sit in lotus, it's not the same effect. Good question. So it means don't lean back in the chair and cross your legs, because then energy is going to start getting stuck, and it's hard to explain it if you have to see it energetically. It's like squeezing a hose, like closing a hose off, and the water can't go through the hose as well. That's what it's like if you cross your arms and cross your legs, because that's not a mudra. A mudra is with your eyes, your mouth, your tongue, your head area, your fingers, your legs, even your abdomen. So different mudras move energy differently. So half lotus is a mudra, full lotus is a mudra. Even actually sitting normally in a chair is a mudra for something else. It's for having a balanced upper, middle, and lower aura, right? But if you cross your legs, you're squeezing the hose. Next question. What if you are in need of healing but don't have money to pay for it? Good question. Again, what if you are in need of healing but don't have money to pay for it? Okay, so it depends. This is the third question in a row. It depends. So when somebody pays for healing, they increase their receptivity and they increase their karmic entitlement. So there are people, one of the masters would charge $5,000 for healing. which would be donated to charity. There is a billionaire who was charged $20,000 for a healing. Why? Karmic entitlement increases receptivity. The reason somebody has a condition, a physical, emotional, or psychological condition, is because of karma. You injured your back because of karma, right? You have a headache because of karma. You have stress because of karma, because it's cause and effect. You plant corn, you get corn. You plant watermelon, you get watermelon. So when you pay someone for healing, you're increasing your karmic entitlement to be healed of that condition. Back in the day, when I did free healings or $20 healings, people's healing rate took a while. But when people go, this is my last $20, last $50, their healing was miraculous. So it's not always about the amount of money. It's about that money in relationship to the person. So the billionaire who pays $100 for a healing, lack of receptivity, less karmic entitlement. The person who is on his last $100, who gives $30, he's increasing his receptivity and increasing his karmic entitlement to be healed. I have noticed time and time and time again, that's why I'm pretty firm on how I do my pricing with people. People that negotiate my healing rate don't get healed as quickly. I've seen it time and time and time again. But people that graciously, gratefully pay full price or more get miraculously healed. Just what I've noticed, and I've noticed it from other healers with their clients. Because if you go, I just paid $1,000 for a healing, I better get something out of this, your receptivity is very high. And your karmic entitlement is high. And it is in the giving that we receive. So if there was no energy exchange between you and the healer, it's going to take longer for you to assimilate the energy. You can have a super powerful healer do a very powerful healing on you, but if you're not receptive and you're not karmically entitled, the healing won't stick and assimilate as quickly, if at all. So it's not about how much. It's connected to the receptivity of the person. In the Western world, in first world, the way receptivity is typically built and developed is through money, through commerce. In third world countries, it's built through service, dedicating service and dedicating time. So they serve the guru. They don't give the guru money. They serve the guru with their time and their energy. And then the guru will bless them, heal them, teach them meditation practices. But in the first world, the way we build receptivity and karmic entitlements is through cash, through money. Good question. Last question. How do I become a full-time healer? How do I become a full-time healer? Woo! Well, in 2016, I created a program, How to Become a Six-Figure Energy Healer. It's the A to Z. Most all the information is still accurate to this day, 5 years later. I have to revamp that because of new technology and social media and marketing and what have you. But that program teaches somebody how to go from A to Z, how to find clients, how to work with clients, how to follow up with clients, A to Z, website, the whole deal. So if you're like, I really want to become a full-time healer, that's what I would recommend, because I put most everything that I do into that program. But you have to walk the walk and you have to talk the talk. I know many people who are healers that don't meditate, and healers that don't do character building, and healers that do purification. So they can, their ability to help the people they serve is greatly limited. So to be a full-time healer, you have to be an embodiment. You have to do the practices regularly in order to produce miraculous healing results for people. So it's definitely a calling. I don't recommend somebody become a full-time healer just like, I'm going to become a full-time healer. It's not like that. It's, you have to understand what that means, because your life literally has to change in every way, shape, and form to be good at what you do, to be a professional, to be an expert, right? It's not like, yeah, I'm going to buy a crystal and then I'm going to start doing healings and I'm going to have a full-time 6-figure income. Nope, not going to happen. Doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So I would recommend that. It's on my website, christianarlong.com. Under downloads, it's 6-figure energy healer. You can find it there. What else? Walk the walk, talk the talk. And also, yeah, why are you doing it? Ajna chakra, why? Big picture. Why do you want to become a full-time healer? I want to help people. Okay. My first question would be, what are you doing now to help people? Exactly. Right? If you're not doing anything now, why would you want to go into a profession that your whole life is dedicated to helping people? I think people think it sounds cool or something like that. Like, oh, I'm a full-time healer. It is not easy being a full-time healer. Not even a little bit. I wish that it was. But you become like a priest or a nun who does healing. Your life is very structured. And most people don't like that, because most people connect what? To healing. Hey man, whatever feels good, light up a joint. I did some ayahuasca. I took some mushrooms. It's like, yeah, man, I'm a healer. That's why it doesn't work. All of those nonsense, idiotic things have to go to the wayside. You can't go to raves and then do healing the next day. You can't spend all night at the bar and then do healings for a week. It doesn't, it would be a disservice to you and a disservice to the people you serve. So if anyone ever wants to have a conversation about that, let me know. I've been doing this for well over a decade. Not easy to do. Okay, so we're done. We finished all the questions. Woo! Super excited. Getting these in line. Okay, so again, feel free to submit your questions on the Facebook group. I see all the posts that go in there. You can also email me directly at christianrlong@gmail.com with your questions. And again, ask questions. The group has been doing excellent work with this, probably because I prepped it earlier, but ask questions that are general enough that everyone can get a benefit out of, and we can also go deep in. When people would ask Master Choa about the virtues, he gets super jacked up, because he could go, all right, loving kindness and non-injury, and then he could just go super deep. And that would apply to everybody, because we all could be more loving, kind, and non-injurious in our lives. But if somebody says, Master Choa, yesterday I was meditating at 3:30 in the morning and I had this being that was dressed like this and looked like this come down, it's like, how many people are going to be able to relate to that person's story? How many people are going to be able to get wisdom from that very specific experience? Not many people. So when we have questions in the Q&A, make them general, but you can put your own spin on it, and then we can kind of go in detail with them. But so far, the group has been asking excellent questions. Super good. Even stretching my fat head, which that's part of the benefit of being a facilitator. Okay, I get to grow in the process with you guys. So let's close. That was a weird text message. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Be aware of your crown. Be aware of your heart and your crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Chola Koksui, to his teacher, Lord Bodhisattva Meiling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Saraswati, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of awareness, understanding, and inner transformation, to the angels of goodwill and the will to do good. Thank you for your never-ending patience, tolerance, compassion for us, mercy for us. Thank you for feeding our souls, for helping us transform. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. With gratitude, respect, and love, so be it, and so it is. Thank you. That's nice. All right, everyone. Wink, wink. Lots of love, and I will see you on the Flippity McFlipperson. Bye bye.